Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is David Beeson. I'm your host for today's conversation, and my guest today is Nono Bokete, the CEO of Data Sentinels. We're going to be talking about her business, journey to business ownership, challenges, best practices, and share a peek of what it's really like to build and operate a business. Nono, welcome to the show, and thank you for being here today. I would love for you to give us a little bit of background of who you are and tell us a little bit about your business as well.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, David. Well, like you said, I'm Nono Bokete and I run Data Sentinels, which is a digital transformation and AI consultancy firm. We help organizations for corporates to governments move from strategy to real execution. And that means better data, better decisions, and transformation that actually works for people on the ground. Out of that work, I realized something quite important. Technology doesn't fail. People actually get quite overwhelmed with all the new tools that we keep on introducing, all the new changes that happen, and they end up feeling excluded or really inconvenienced. And that led us to build a product called Transformation Leader. So, Transformation Leader is a leadership and learning arm of the work that we do, and it focuses on mindset, behavior, capability, helping leaders and professionals build the confidence and skills to navigate change without burning out or losing trust. So, in short, Data Sentinels works on the institutional and enterprise level, and Transformation Leader works on the human level. But they solve the same problem from two sides. So, we really focus on making sure digital transformation works, not just on paper, but in real organizations with real people.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. And just kind of setting the stage for the viewers and listeners. Generally speaking, what's the ownership structure currently like? Are you sole founder and owner? Do you have a business partner, outside investors?
Yeah, so I am the founder of Data Sentinels, and we operate with a lean core and work with senior contractors and partners and technical collaborators. So in terms of full-time employees, we'd have a core number, and then we can scale up depending on the client work that we have. And I've been quite intentional about this because overheads can be quite crazy, and especially
Yeah.
if you're in the service industry, you'll find that sometimes it's feast and famine. So I need to make sure that I'm building something that's flexible. But what's really great is that we have high trust teams that can deliver at enterprise level as and when we need.
Gotcha, gotcha. Awesome. So tell me a little bit about what role you currently play in the business. Like, what's a day in the life of No.
Crazy. So I'm very hands-on. I lead strategy and advisory work and partnerships and also thought leadership. I also still do client-facing work, especially when it comes to dealing with senior leaders or government engagement is involved. And my hours may vary. Some weeks are really intense, David, meaning I might be working like an ER doctor, an emergency doctor. Like
Oh,
that's how
wow.
busy my hours can be. And then some weeks are really like reflective and let me go for that hour stroll and, smell the
Yeah.
roses. But I've learned that sustainability is more important than that constant hustle. So trying to understand when is it appropriate to the point where there have been times where we've fired some clients. I know I'm not supposed to say this, but it's like they were giving it like we were working till 4 a.m. in the morning for like long stints of time because
Oh,
they didn't
yeah.
have their stuff together. And it was just like it was killing me, it was killing the team, the morale. It was just a hot mess. So we just had to make a decision to be like, well, after this engagement, we won't re-engage just because, yeah, like if you can control it, you try to, but I also understand like money, makes it all go
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally get that, especially the time thing, because so for transparency about me, I do this. I also run a marketing business, video marketing business out here, and I work in the TV and film space. So sometimes I'll have weeks where I'm probably pulling 90 hours, and then I have some weeks where it's like, oh wow, I only worked like 10 hours this week. That's kind of weird. So it's like I totally get that. It's like the weeks where you're grinding, it's fun because you're working a lot and you have a lot of stuff going on, and also the money's probably better. And then you have the weeks where it's like 10 hours and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna actually watch that movie I've been wanting to watch for like 2 months, and I'm gonna hang out with my wife and I'm gonna chill. So it's like I totally get that. It's trying to something that I've learned just from doing this for a while and talking to other business owners and talking and networking events is like whenever you do have the free time, don't be upset that you have the free time because you're not working. Just recompartmentalize your brain and be like, you know what? I get to chill. I get to take some time off for a little bit, and then I'll go back to work whenever the work's here. So I totally get that.
Do you feel like you are better at that now, or do you still feel that sometimes you're sitting there and like guilt, like a little voice of like, why am I chilling? Like this feels too.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely still kind of creeps in, but just kind of like from talking with so many mentors and things like that, I've gotten better at being able to be like, you know what, voice, go that way. Next week we have like 50 hours of work, so we'll be okay, you know? Now, it does get scary if it's like 2 weeks in a row, because
Okay.
that's happened before, where I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, now I feel like things might start to crumble. So now I really need to just like start forcing myself to do like even just like little menial stuff just to kind of try and figure out why I'm not getting consistent work for these 2 weeks. So
Hmm.
there's
Hmm.
depends on how long it lasts. If it's like 1 week, it's okay. If it's like 2 weeks, I start to panic a little bit.
And I think that's fair. Like I totally get it. I think it's something I constantly am working on is I do a lot. So obviously I'm the CEO of Data Sentinels. I write like, fantasy novels and that takes a
Oh,
lot
it's so
of time.
cool.
Like, yeah, so I get, and then obviously whatever it takes to just live your life. So I feel like what I do to relax is what someone would be like, I think that's working. But I'm like, no, trust me, this is, trust me, I need to relax this way.
So, actually, the end of last year, I got back into reading fiction. So I was reading mostly nonfiction stuff, just like business books and self-help books and things like that. But then
Yeah,
I was like, I was kind of getting bored of it. I'm not gonna lie. So
yeah,
I was like,
yeah.
I want to get back into reading for me, and I hadn't really read a novel, like a fiction novel, in probably like 5 years. So I got back into it at the end of last year. My goal this year is to read at least one book a month.
Hmm.
Um, I got back into it with the sci-fi fantasy series Red Rising. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I've been reading
I
that.
haven't read it, but I've heard good things about it.
It's really good, but I'm about
Okay.
to start this month. I'm going to start the Mistborn series, which I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about. I don't know if
Okay.
you said you write fantasy stuff, so I know that's really high fantasy, Brandon Sanderson. So it's really cool to hear that you're writing fantasy stuff because that's what I'm kind of getting into reading is sci-fi.
Okay, cool. I'll throw my book out there for you to read it. I'll send you a link at the end of this.
Awesome. Yeah, no, definitely. I will definitely check it out because it's been cool getting back into reading, like reading for me rather than reading to for work, you know.
Yeah, and I looked, so there was I don't know her name, but she's a CEO of some like big organization. And what she says, because I think when you're running your own organization, you do feel like you have to continuously level up by reading super interesting text and trying to learn from other people. But she goes, it's like during working hours, she'll read those sort of things, but at
Yeah.
night, it's like she'll go into whatever her dirty, dark secrets of type of things that she wants to read instead. And I think that's what I try to do. It's like, okay, so in the morning when I go for my walk, I'll listen to an audiobook that's like, business or whatever related to my field. And then in the evening, I'll write or I'll listen to, something in the dark fantasy space and be happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, so kind of pulling it back towards your business. Sorry, going off on the book tangent. I love reading now. So I'm curious, if I were able to give you an extra 10 hours back each week, how would you invest those hours? Would it be more in the business? Would it be personal time, family time?
I think if I got an extra 10, oh my gosh, I feel so bad saying this. If I got an extra 10 hours a week, it would not be more family time, which I think I should say. That's the right answer if anyone's listening is it's more family time. The real answer for me is definitely going into my business. And the reason I say that is because there's this phrase in South Africa where we that I'm not from South Africa, but I just know a lot of South Africans, and they say you like you're toying. So like when you protest, they call it like toying. It's like, but it's like it feels like you're like um almost like you're struggling, like it's so much
Yeah.
effort. So I don't want to be doing this toying thing for a very long time. So I look at it like, okay, give me extra 10 hours. I'm plugging it back into my business because I'm thinking I'm gonna get those hours and years later on because I'm not
Yeah.
trying to be like 60 and still working like the way I work and doing the same things that I'm doing.
Yeah, no, yeah, that makes sense.
What about you? What would you do with your extra 10 hours?
Oh wow, no one's ever actually asked me.
What?
Yeah, you're the first person to actually ask me that. I would honestly. I'd probably split it 50-50. I'd probably put
Should
five
have said that.
hours. Yeah, I'd probably put 5 or 6 hours back into working, and then I'd probably put like 4 to 5 hours into spending time with my wife.
That
So,
is so nice. Husband, if you're seeing this, I love you and thank you for your sacrifice.
um, yeah, and then also we're expecting our first child in April, so definitely wanting to spend as much time with him as
Friends.
possible. I feel like in general in April, things are gonna kind of recompartmentalize on my work level, just because it's like I want to be there during like you know, the beginning stages and things like that. Now, luckily, with a lot of the stuff that I do kind of get to be from home a lot and get to work from home a lot, but it's still like I have to be on my computer doing
Yeah.
things. And then I also still have, like I said, with me doing a lot of like filming, I do have to have the film days, and film days are crazy. They're always like, um, they're like 10 to 12 hours most of the time. So it's
So
like,
what do you film? Like, is it movies? Is it shows?
a little bit of everything. So, I'll do commercials a lot of the time because commercials just make the best money, honestly.
Okay.
Especially in Texas. So commercials a lot of the time, or like, like filming for like startup companies or like independent companies will go and like film um we'll go and film some social media content for them, or we'll go and film some like stuff for their website or testimonials, things like that. And then the bigger side of what I do is I'll work on actual films out here and TV shows out here whenever they do come through Texas, and whenever I'm actually able to get on them. I will work on those. Normally, that's not for like money reasons. That's just for passion because you don't really get paid too well for those. But it's like the most fun thing. I went to school for it, so it's like
Okay.
whenever I have the opportunity to take that, I kind of shut everything else down for like a month, and I'm like, I'll be back in a month, and then I go work on that, and then I come back and then start everything back up again. So,
Do you have anything that we would know as laymen of what you've worked on that's like super cool?
not really. It's mostly like smaller stuff.
Okay.
There's this movie out right now called Iron Lung that was made by a big YouTuber named Markiplier.
Okay.
Um, and I didn't actually work on that, but I was on set for a little bit, and I know a lot of people who worked on it. Like I have a lot of friends who worked on it, so I did kind of get to show up and say hi and all that. But I was unable to just because I was super busy at the time. But I know a lot of people who worked on that. They filmed that in 2023 out here.
Okay.
Um, and then that's
Iron
currently
Long.
in theaters. Yeah, it's currently in theaters right now.
Okay, cool.
Um, and then I just worked on a movie in December that should come out in about a year and a half from now. It's a comedy, but I can't really say too much because I'm under NDA. Um,
Okay. Don't want to get you in trouble.
but in about a year, it'll be out, and then I can kind of talk more about it and stuff. But that was super cool. I filmed it in November and December of last year. Um, and then, yeah, right now it's just been mostly, honestly, since the new year, it's mostly just been the podcast and kind of finding other clients and stuff to work with for marketing and things like that. So it's been kind of slow for the beginning of the year, but I haven't hated it.
Yeah, like, and also I think people kind of getting back and trying to figure out what like their budgets are for the year and all
Yeah.
that others. Yeah.
Yeah, Q1 always for marketing is always the most dead because it's
Yeah.
like they don't really know what they want to do for marketing yet. And it's always really
Mhm.
funny because most of the time, whenever I'll have clients really hit me up in April and be like, we really need rollout by summer. And I'm like, okay, you should have texted me in March, but we can make it work. It's like you want it, you're telling me in April that you want
Yeah.
everything by like the end of May. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I gotta film a lot now and I have to edit a lot now, but it'll be okay. I have a team too. There's like four of us, so
Okay, cool.
um but yeah, so I'm curious, why'd you choose to go into business for yourself? Why instead of like working another job or anything? And if you did work another job, what was the transition like for you to owning your own business?
So I actually never wanted to work for business for myself because everybody in my family is an entrepreneur and lucky for especially my parents, luckily for them, they're successful entrepreneurs. But I was front row seat watching how difficult it was to build the organization. I think the organization is going to be turning 30 like in 2 years or something. So they've run a really long, successful business. But the sacrifice that it took for them to do what it did, I was like, nah, I'm going to get a job and get that paycheck and enjoy it. And I did. But no one tells you that when your family is an entrepreneur, there's something like demonic that happens in your spirit that doesn't
Yeah.
allow you to just be happy as an employee. And I swear I tried. And I was very successful as an employee. I had really great roles. I was able to travel the world still, and I still do travel the world, um, but it just wasn't answering the call. And my husband was actually the one that really pushed me over the edge to be like, if you don't do it, you better do it now type thing. So I did reluctantly. I want to be honest. I was very reluctant because I just knew how much work it was going to like. I wasn't going into entrepreneurship with like rose-colored glasses. And I was just like, crap, I've been working so hard all this time in my career. And then I'm going to work again from scratch so hard all this time on this business. And yeah, I did it and I transitioned. And I think the hardest thing that maybe people don't talk about when you're transitioning from employee to entrepreneurs. Like, so obviously I had savings, but it's still not getting the monthly salary that are going to increase your savings, right? So now
Yeah.
you're looking at your savings kind of like deplete until you start making money with your business. And I realized like that's something that's like mentally, it's really wonky. At least for me, it was really wonky. Just kind of
Yeah.
like, oh, I was kind of used to just doing like I had to change my spending habits and how I used my credit card and how I used like what I put on my credit card versus not. So like very little, I think like detailed things that maybe we don't think about because also people would talk about like oh the grit that but I'm like it was like the day to day like is that an expense that goes on my business card or my personal card and like how do you yeah so that was probably what was challenging. What I love about the transition though is I feel like I was answering a calling. I'm not gonna get really weird, but I'm gonna just say this. But like I literally felt so in my culture, we believe in ancestors.
Yeah.
And it's so basically I really felt like my ancestors were demanding this from me. Like I would like have moments where like restless sleep. And like as soon as I made that transition, it was like I could sleep normally again even though like work was insane, like as in like I told you, I work like an emergency doctor. I still felt like I was sleeping better. I felt like more peaceful, more calm. And though my world was more chaotic in many ways,
Yeah.
it just I felt like this was the right thing for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I also grew up in a entrepreneurial household. My dad owns a marketing company, funny enough, and more email based and email marketing. But I've been in that sphere since I was born, so kind of getting to grow up that way and seeing my dad be able to work and then like take me to school in the morning, and then he works throughout the day, and then picks me up from school, and then he goes back to working. But he has that time to go do
Yeah.
those little things. He has time to go to my baseball games or go to my football games or things like that. It made me realize at a pretty young age, whenever I was getting out of college, like that's kind of what I want to be able to do. I want to be able to work like a workaholic and then also be like, okay, I can take the hour now
Hmm.
to go spend with my kids or to
Yeah.
go show up to that school function for my son or go do this or go do that. Like that's something I really wanted. So even though you might still work 12 hours a day, it's really cool whenever you're an entrepreneur to be able to take that hour maybe in the middle of the day to go do something without having to get yelled at by somebody or a boss with that which for trying to do it, or having to try and get it approved to be taken off. It's like, no, I can just
Hmm. Hmm.
drive, go do that. Still have my phone if I need to do a little bit of work while I'm there, and then I can come home and then continue doing work. It's cool to be able to take those little snippets of time, I think.
Yeah, I definitely think the flexibility is there, but like at least for me, I feel like the flexibility has only come like in the later years than
Yeah.
so like like my parents would be like, "Oh, why don't we like do this thing?" And I'm just like they're basically like about to retire. So they have a very different perception of life, if that makes sense. And it'd be like some of us, and like me and my brothers were all entrepreneurs, and it's like, yeah, no, have fun, like we can't do those things. But I agree with you. There is more flexibility, and I think you have like more ownership on,
Hmm.
like, if you're someone who like likes to, if you're controlling, I'm very controlling. This is the best way to do it. You can control what you do with your time. Like, no one's telling you how to spend your time. And
Yep.
when the good things happen, it's your fault. And when the bad things happen, it's also your fault.
Hmm. Um, so as you look back on your journey so far, what has been the most memorable roadblock or hurdle that you had to overcome?
I would say my mindset. So in terms of like my mental talk, so I'm very hard on myself and I had to learn to be kinder. So one of my New Year's resolutions that I've had for the last like 5 years, basically, ever since I became an entrepreneur, is just be kinder to myself. And it's because it's the psychology. I think it's really the
Yeah,
psychology of what's going to keep you um, growing. I would also say things like learning to let go of perfection is
yeah,
probably something you have to kind of get over. I will say, like my consultancy days, I worked for this organization called Accenture. That also helped. Like, they had this thing of like, it just needs to be good enough. Like, don't get so cranked up. And I don't know where I learned that perfection thing on, and if it's a girl thing, a female thing, or just like a mental disorder, because I really think it's not normal. Like, as in,
yeah,
nothing can be perfect, and yet you're just kind of like, ugh. And yes, and then you being able to be vulnerable enough to trust people, I would say, because I couldn't do everything myself, right? So I had to bring people in and trusting that they will not only take care of the vision, but take care of the business, take care of the customers, take care of me. So yeah, I know I meant like multiple hurdles, but there's been a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm curious what makes your business unique. Like, how do you stand out against your competition?
So I sit in the intersection between technology, psychology, and governance is kind of where I feel like we look at it. So a lot of firms are like, they'll do strategy, and a lot of people will talk about leadership, and very few people understand how humans actually behave during transformation. And because that's kind of what I've been doing all my life. And doing it across multiple different cultures and different power structures. And what I mean by that is some cultures are very like, hierarchical and some are not. So I bring that execution experience, that policy level exposure with that human lens, and clients don't get the framework, they actually get that sort of like clarity from me. And
Yeah,
if I were to compare myself to like these larger, the big fours, your Deloittes and all that stuff, I feel like you're either quite a technical firm, or you're quite theoretical, and we're in the middle, right? So we're not going to just design your roadmap to implement. We're going to stay with you long enough to make sure that things actually work in the real world. And I think that's the advantage of being a small boutique firm, is that we're able to customize some of those things for you. It's not
yeah,
like we're not gonna get your problem and make it fit into our predetermined solution. It's gonna be the other way around.
yeah, yeah. No, I love that. It's very similar to kind of what I do with my marketing stuff, where it's like I don't want to just like build the thing for you and shoot the videos for you and then be like, all right, here you go, figure it out. It's like I like to kind of like my goal is to be like on a retainer. So in that way, it's like, okay, I can kind of help you throughout a year and really help
Hmm.
increase your marketing throughout the entire year. So in that way, your sales can go up, your numbers can go up, and everything can shoot up in a year. And if it doesn't, I could leave and I'm sorry. That's kind of what I always tell them. Normally it works out though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, so what is one thing? This is a question I always love to ask. What is one thing you wish more people knew about your business?
Digital transformation is not a technology problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
As
most people would think it is. That's kind of what I always thought too. That's cool.
yeah. So it's people. Yeah.
Um, so now, kind of transitioning into marketing, as I've talked
Okay.
about marketing a lot. I'm curious, what
Mhm.
different marketing strategies do y'all have implemented currently?
So we do thought leadership conversations. We host like webinars with
Nice.
leaders in our industry, podcasts, LinkedIn newsletters. I do speaking myself, like I'll do speaking engagements and join other people's think tanks and groups around that. So I feel like that helps because it builds trust, and not
Yeah,
just, hey, just buy my stuff or work with me. It's like, why should I work with someone like Nono? over someone else who could actually just be equally as good, right?
Yeah.
Like I mentioned before, you're probably going to work with us because of that. We're in many different countries. We've worked across many different types of industries, and we're boutique. So, we're going to pay attention to what you want us to do.
Yeah.
And that's at value. But then the marketing is basically across those streams.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's awesome. Have y'all tapped into the digital marketing space at all, like any type of social media outreach or any type of paid advertisements or anything like that?
So you have tried that. We've started that. I wouldn't say we're very good at it. And when I say we started it, I would say like last quarter, we were looking at because we have like LinkedIn, um, I think we have Facebook and Instagram and obviously a website. So it's like, well, who's viewing that? Are those people we should be reaching out to like have conversations with because they've shown interest? But in terms of like ads, not really. And that's something that's probably we should probably be looking at, but we haven't done ads. We really rely mostly on like word of mouth
Yeah.
and direct networking. We just find it's like a higher turnover, like of success, not turnover, but like a higher conversion rate. I find when if David is like, hey, I know this girl called Nono and she's pretty good, have a conversation with her, I'm more likely to like close that deal versus just like a cold outreach.
Yeah, yeah, no, makes a lot of sense, specifically for y'all's business model as well. I feel like that normally sounds about right that the conversion rate would be higher off a warm lead rather than like a cold lead.
Yeah.
Um, awesome. And what approach do you guys have to tracking y'all's leads? Do y'all have a CRM that you prefer?
Yeah, so we use Zoho. We
Gotcha.
used to use Salesforce, and basically the team didn't like it. Sorry, Salesforce. I was pro Salesforce, but like I'm in digital transformation, so I am not gonna force. Like it would be ridiculous if I was like, "Well, I'm forcing you to use this tool that you guys
Yeah.
do," but like that's kind of like, yeah, redundant. So I think they also looked at HubSpot. Like they did this whole review, and the team was like, "No, we want to use Zoho," and they're happy with that, and they track that, and we have reports. Well, I have reports that I look at on a weekly basis to look at pipelines, outreach, follow ups, conversion rates. And also on our website, we also have analytics on like, click through rates and what people are clicking on and, what's turning into something versus nothing.
Yeah.
How do we need to optimize our search engine, like the words that we put on our websites and so that we can get a better like follow through. So that's all being tracked. And the only reason that's probably being tracked is because my background, I started in analytics. So I'm
Hmm.
just like, I don't want to hear words. I don't you go, we had a great week and we spoke to a bunch of people. I want to know we spoke to how many people, what industry, like, I want that level of detail so that we can start to like almost predict these sort of clients are the sort of clients that are going to get us better results versus others versus how long does it take us to talk to those clients to convert them to something, what sort of services are selling better than others, et cetera, et cetera.
Gotcha, gotcha. And then kind of switching over a little bit into team building.
Okay.
I'm curious how big currently is the team?
10 people.
Awesome, awesome. And how would you describe your leadership style in business, and has it changed over the years?
Yeah, I think I used to be someone who felt like I needed to have the answers and carry everything myself. Remember I said earlier on like trusting people was
Hmm.
something that I had to work on. So now I know that the job is creating conditions where other people can think clearly and, challenge me openly and deliver well, which is something I've been quite good at throughout my career is being able to allow people to chat. Like, as in, I'm a very relaxed person, so anyone can talk to me. I look at it like you can talk to me any kind of way, but I can also cuss you out any kind of way if you're going like,
Yeah.
so there's a respect thing. I don't feel like I have to tell you, like, talk to me respectfully. I feel like you'll know you've crossed that line if you've crossed it. But I think one of the main things that I've learned is that my value isn't being the smartest person in the room. It's just making the room smarter. And that's
Yeah.
kind of like where I'm living in and really trying to focus. And that's the whole thing about being a transformation leader. It's like I want people who are smarter around me. I want to enable them and empower them to be the leaders so that I can literally just look at reports and sip like tea in the morning and that's it. Like 1 hour of work a day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's awesome. And are y'all um what's kind of like y'all's training like? Like how do y'all like what type of training do you have in place for the team members?
So I would say training starts with orientation. I think a lot of people fumble the ball with their orientation. And the reason I say
I
that is
agree.
because yeah, there's just that's where you're gonna like teach people what the culture is, what the expectation is. We also offer, because we work with transformation leader, we also offer transformation leader training, which is leadership training. So not only is it like self-leadership training, it's team training, it's technical training, depending on where you like what department you're in.
Hmm.
Because like I do believe it's the leader's job to ensure that everyone has the right tools. I don't think it's the leader's job to force you to drink, right?
Yeah.
But I need to at least provide you the water for you to drink. So they have access to mentors. They go like so with transformation leader, it's an ecosystem. So every month there's a book club that everyone has to attend and read a book and have conversations about. So we make sure that we're growing and learning and staying curious. There's a
Hmm.
webinar that kind of throughout the year, the monthly webinars that we attend. Some of them are more leadership, neuroscience, behavioral change management, because we're in digital transformation, and some are more technical around AI and web development and all that other stuff. And then we also have something called the Shameless Circle that we're part of, where if I'm not able to answer questions, this ecosystem has a lot of leaders in there. So someone can just ask like for help, for advice from the community, and they'll answer like, oh, my boss did this, or I'm having a challenge, or my friend, usually it's like my friend has this problem. And there's also like an anonymous feature. So if you don't want someone to know who you are, you can like submit questions. So that I think definitely supports them. And then
Yeah.
because I have an international team. So what happens is I also have what I call office hours. So I used to do, you can just tell when people have grown up. So I used to do weekly sessions where we'd like go around and go like, what's your highlights? What's your lowlights? What did you learn? Because it was really important for me to know that my team was learning. Like, what did you learn at work this week? Like, are you constantly reading stuff? And what did you learn about where you're working from? Like, if there was something interesting in the news, because I think it's
Yeah.
very important to understand current events. And then we'd play games like, two truths and a lie. And we did that for like 2 years straight. And now we're like, okay, we're in the 2 year cycle. We now need to look at like our meetings and review that. And none of the team wanted to keep that. And I
Oh
was
wow.
so sad because I remember when I was like coming up working for other people, like we didn't have those things. And I wish that we did. But I realized that that was just me kind of, it was for me, it wasn't for them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to be conscious of like I need to make sure that if I'm doing a meeting, whether it is for like team camaraderie or whatever the case may be, it's something that the team actually wants. So we
Yeah.
stopped so we stopped doing that, and instead they preferred like to just do like office hours where they can just do one-on-ones with me if they need to. So that's yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting take, like like figuring out like that in the long term that you felt like it was more for you than for them. That's interesting. I'm very big into like meditation and really diving into like my own like subconscious. So I do a lot of things like that sometimes where it's like, was that thing that I did, was that to for them or was that more for me? So I totally get where you're coming from with that.
Yeah.
Um, I think we'll kind of transition to a couple rapid fire questions if you're ready.
Okay.
What is the key to success for you?
Discipline and resilience.
I love that. What's one piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Don't confuse busyness with value addition.
Yeah. What's a good book or podcast you're reading or listening to right now? It could be fiction, it could be nonfiction.
Well, actually, I'm currently listening to Screw It, Let's Do It by Richard Branson because it's part of the book club I'm part of. So, like, I need to
Yeah.
finish it off. Yeah.
And then this is a fun question that I always love to ask. If you had a little bit of magic dust and you could choose one spot in your business and everything would be perfect there, where would it be and why?
Speed of execution without burnout, simply because
Yeah.
the faster you can do something without like killing yourself, the more time you have time to do other things, spend time with family, travel, give time back to your team, right? I really want to
Yeah.
have one of the things I really want to work on and constantly am working on, because I think it's something you never truly get to, is having a really good work environment and
Yeah.
balancing when you have to like push and balancing when you have those like times where you can like smell the roses.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally get that. Well, before we get to the final question of the day, would you like to share with our audience how they can find you guys, follow y'all, learn more, contact you guys?
Yeah. So you can find us on most socials at Data Sentinels, and it's consistent throughout. And the website is www.data-sentinels.com. And you can reach out to me personally, Nono Bukiti, and that's my handle across all my socials.
Awesome. Well, we've come to the final question of the day, and that is what's most inspiring to you today?
Yeah, I think it's just the work that I do, watching someone step into capability that they never thought that they had, or maybe they were told that they didn't have. I've spent my career in rooms where people have been underestimated by systems, history, sometimes themselves. And the moment that they realize that they belong there, I feel like that just makes me, it just warms my heart. It kind of makes me feel like I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. In like over 200 episodes, I have never had someone say that, and I really love that answer actually. Like
I
like
feel
that
like I
it's
want to cry or something. I feel like it's so nice.
I love that answer because it really shows that you really do care about your team and you really do care about the people that come and work for you and getting to see that transformation. That's super cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course. And I just want to say that this was a really great conversation. I really enjoyed getting to hear your story. So thank you so much for sharing. I just encourage all of you watching to save the show and come back and watch again because Nono really did have some great insights for business. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so we get notifications every time a new conversation drops, just like this one. Thank you to everyone who joined us today, and a special thanks to you, Nono, for being with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, David. Bye.
Of course. And I'll see you all in the next episode.